There's a magic to traveling by train, especially at night, as the miles fade into the sunset. Before welded rail, the sound of the clickety-clack of the jointed rails provided the rhythm of the rails. It's hypnotic. Add the motion of the train, plus excellent onboard service, and you have a recipe for comfortable, safe travel. There's a magic to traveling by train, especially at night, as the miles fade into the sunset. Before welded rail, the sound of the clickety-clack of the jointed rails provided the rhythm of the rails. It's hypnotic. Add the motion of the train, plus excellent onboard service, and you have a recipe for comfortable, safe travel. Every night, 100,000 passengers traveled by Pullman sleeping cars during the heyday of rail passenger service in the 1920s. But the story is more than just the Pullman cars. It's a multifaceted history. That history spans the building of opulent sleeping cars in the 1890s, to construction of streamlined cars in the 1930s. It includes Pullman Porters, the town of Pullman, Illinois, A. Philip Randolph's unionizing, the origins of the civil rights movement, and above all, the genius of the founder, George M. Pullman. Welcome to Pullman, America's Hotel on Wheels.
Contrary to popular belief, George Pullman did not invent the sleeping car. The first sleeping car in America is generally reckoned to be a car called Chambersburg. It served in south central Pennsylvania and entered service in 1838, which was fully 20 years before Pullman built his first sleeping car. His first effort was undertaken in conjunction with a partner, Benjamin Field, and what they did together is they converted two existing coach cars of the Chicago, Alton, and St. Louis Railroad into sleeping cars.
The Pullman Company produced numerous sleeping cars in the 19th century under the name Pullman Palace Car Company. It also went on to build railway passenger and freight cars of all kinds under several different corporate names, well into the 20th century. Of course, it had many competitors as well. They included the New York Central Sleeping Car Company and a company called Jackson and Sharp. In fact, I'm sitting in a Jackson and Sharp car. It's not a sleeping car, but a narrow gauge coach. Built in 1881, this car was in service until 1965 and made many runs on the Denver and Rio Grande Western's famed San Juan Express. Here's another Jackson and Sharp car. Originally constructed as a coach in 1871, it was rebuilt as a business car in 1888. This car is unique because it was used by photographer William Henry Jackson when he was photographing in Colorado in the late 19th century. Like Pullman, Jackson and Sharp produced first-class cars such as parlor, dining, and sleeping cars. Here's a good example of a car that dates back to the Wood era and was updated and modernized into a car that represents composite construction. Originally constructed in 1886 by Barney and Smith, this car was numbered B99 and delivered to the Chicago, Burlington, and Northern Railroad. In the 1890s, it was renumbered 96 for the Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy. Then in 1906, it was completely rebuilt in the company's Aurora, Illinois shops. Honduran mahogany was installed in the observation and dining rooms, with quarter sawn oak in the hallways and staterooms. Steel sheathing was added in 1925 along with a steel underframe, and the car served the Burlington for another 40-plus years.
There were numerous passenger car and freight car companies all across the U.S. Two of the larger ones would be the Wagner Palace Car Company and the Woodruff Sleeping Car Company.
Wagner really gave Pullman a run for his money and was building cars of equal, if not superior, quality.
One of my favorites is a man named Webster Wagner, who was a politician but also a railroad man, and he started the New York Central Sleeping Car Company. And when Commodore Vanderbilt took over the line, he kept Wagner on until he was killed in a train wreck.
Almost nobody today, though, remembers earlier competitors like T.T. Woodruff, or my favorite name, the Mann Boudoir Car Company. But they were very real competitors in the early days, and eventually Pullman outlasted them all.